everyone, welcome to ZETA IAS. In today's session, we will be discussing your mains 2025 GS1 paper, specifically the society related questions. Now, if you talk about the analysis of the paper, then there is nothing much different. The same pattern has been followed, which the UPSC has been following since 2023. Approximately 5 to 6 questions were asked, and mostly current based. The only difference is that this time there are no questions on conventional topics like women, children, marriage, and the fundamentals of Indian society. The questions were current based, so anybody who has read the newspaper thoroughly and who reads the newspaper thoroughly will have enough content to write. So I don't think that they would have faced a problem. So before any further delay, let us just begin. The first question of the paper is question number 8. How does smart city in India address the issues of urban poverty and distributive justice? Answer in 150 words. 10 marks question. Smart city in India. Let me first talk about the how you have to structure your answer, and then I will talk about the content. Okay. In structure, as we all know, follow the conventional style. Write an introduction, and in introduction you're going to write what is the smart city program, of course, because if you see in this question, smart city and the issues of urban poverty and distributive justice, these are the three main elements that has been asked. So introduction would be, what is your smart city? Second would be, how is it addressing the issue? Okay, this is one part, this is second part, and third would be your simple conclusion. This is the basic structure that you have to follow, given that only 150 words, you have to write the answer in only 150 words. Okay, now what is smart city? Now we all know that smart city mission was launched in 2015, and the main aim of this program was to enhance the quality of life in cities. Okay, so now, as we know that the population is expanding and the urban areas are expanding, so there is a lot of pressure on the metro cities in terms of, because metro cities provide employment opportunities. So a lot of people are going towards the metro city. If you take for example Delhi, in the recent survey it was noticed that 40% of Delhi's population is comprises of people from eastern UP and Bihar. What does it mean? It means that people are coming to Delhi in search of employment for a better life. So this was one initiative by the government of India to make the cities more livable. So people find opportunities in their own cities. Okay, so this will also reduce the burden on the metro cities. So now the main aim is to enhance the quality of life in cities. The aim is to make cities economically vibrant, inclusive now, and environment friendly. When we talk about inclusive society, we are indirectly also talking about distributive justice. We are also talking about urban poverty, because inclusion means that people are from every strata of society are included, they feel included, and they have access to all necessities. There is equal distribution of resources. These are the main aims And the goal of this program was to, okay, no, this is not the goal. Now you can also write about how it is going to work. So the main aim, this is the main aim, that to make it economically vibrant, to make it inclusive, and to make it environment friendly. But how? By building infrastructure, governance, and social justice. You can say that these are the three pillars on which smart city mission aims to work on to provide these results. Okay. This is the basic definition of smart city. This will form a part of your introduction. Now the main content. What is urban poverty and distributive justice? Now, urban poverty is the condition of deprivation which is experienced by people who do not have the finances to access the basic necessities. Okay. For example, a city provides, a city has too many flats, it has good houses, it has good housing complexes, but those houses are very expensive, which means that people from the lower income group or moderate income group cannot afford to live in these places. So they have to adjust themselves into crammed houses where living conditions are very poor. There are probably no roads. Even if they have roads, there are potholes. There is no proper drainage. There is no proper supply of water. There is no sanitation. You know, the slum areas in and around the city is one example of urban poverty. And distributive justice. Urban poverty is deprivation due to lack of finance. Now, people who are engaged in informal jobs do not have finances to have access to basic services of the city, basic necessities. Distributive justice is a concept in ethics and in political philosophy which refers to the lack or the unjust distribution of resources and the lack of access to necessities within the society that some people face. It is unjust distribution of resources. Now, if you see at the definition, these two are very different terms, but they are overlapping because distributive justice directly addresses the issue, the root cause of poverty, including urban poverty. As we have already studied before, smart city, the aim of smart city mission is also inclusion, and one of the three pillars of smart city mission is social justice. So therefore, smart city has been addressing these issues, and now we come to the next part of the question, and which is, you can give a very brief definition of it, you don't need to expand it. Now we come back to the next part of the question, that how is it, the main part of the question, that how is it addressing the issue of urban poverty and distributive justice. The first in this is GIS mapping. Now, what is GIS mapping? You know that technology sits at the heart of development. There can be no development without technology, especially in today's time and scenario. Okay, so GIS mapping is basically geographical information system which helps in collecting data from areas. It stores those data and then it analyzes those data. So what happens is that the urban planners have a good data to work on so that they can devise a good and efficient urban plan and act on it. Now there is, if you see that recently there has been a lot of discussion about Gurgaon and Noida, the two, there is comparisons going on between the two cities, that how after rainfalls the city of Gurgaon drowns itself while Noida stays afloat. And why is it? The only reason is that Noida is much better planned, it has a better drainage system, and it is planned, the urban planning is more, it serves the purpose of development. Whereas in Gurgaon, no consideration of the slope was taken, it no planning was done. So you can say that why urban planning is very important and what role it plays in inclusion. Now imagine, now why is GIS mapping important? How is it addressing the issue of urban poverty and distributive justice? If you see, water logging is much prevalent in areas where inhabited by the low income or the moderate income groups. The people from the elite class have access to resources, they have sources, they have contacts, they can manage, but these are the people who suffer the most. So GIS mapping, what it does is that the urban planning is such that even those areas are very well planned, so they don't face that kind of difficulty. The second is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Again, a credit linked subsidy scheme of the government where it provides affordable housing to moderate and lower income groups. Recently, it has also started providing affordable renting housing complexes for migrant workers. As we talked about before, people from lower income group do not have finances to live in a better house, to live in a good house. So this is the way the government is helping them live comfortably, live in a good uh, sanit in a well sanitation. There is good sanitation, there is proper drainage, and they live, they can live comfortably even if there is rain, there is any other natural disaster, they are safe. Okay, the third is safe water supply. Jal Jeevan Mission, water for all, which promises tap water and housing for all. Now you know that clean drinking water is also one of the uh, sustainable development goals. So, and it is also one of the most basic necessity of life, to have clean drinking water and to have tap water at home, to have sanitation facilities at home. So the safe water supply in these areas will result in their inclusion and to a certain extent reduction in urban poverty. Fourth is transportation. Smart city aims to smart city has been instrumental in bringing metros to many cities, and the electric buses are being run, which are AC air conditioned. So this is also helping them. Buses, metros. Then for safety and security, security cameras are installed, which means security cameras are installed, which means that women from these groups can go and they can work for late hours, they can feel safe. There are also solar lights have also been installed, so which means that they have proper lighting, they have proper security, they can work for later nights, they can be safe, they can feel safe, and they can feel secure. These are the five primary uh, ways in which smart city is helping in addressing the issues of urban poverty. And in other, these are the main five, but the smart city is also enabling people to be skilled, to have access to education. So in a way, smart city, now in conclusion part you can write that smart city is instrumental in addressing the issues of urban poverty and how it is helping in reducing, in helping in ensuring distributive justice in society. We are not going to write about the challenges that the government is facing in implementation of the program, because the question is directly asking how does smart city in India address the issues of urban poverty and distributive justice. Plus you do not have, you have to answer in 150 words, so there is a word limitation, and UPSC can grant you the allowance of plus minus 5 words, but you cannot over exceed, you know, it is going to punish you for that. This is one reason why this exam becomes very challenging. So this is the first question. Let's move on to the second question. I hope it was clear to you. Okay. Do you think that, question number 10, do you think that globalization results in only an aggressive consumer culture? About this question, do you think that globalization results in only an, this is only over here is a very important word which will decide the structure of your answer. Firstly, talking about the structure again, define globalization. Then what is aggressive consumer culture? How is it promoting it? And you may also write the plus points of globalization, and in conclusion you can mention other reasons. Okay, this is going to be your structure for 150 words, 10 marks. Now let us start with the content. Now what is globalization? Globalization is a process where people, countries, businesses, they are they feel interconnected, they are connected, and they feel interdependent because of businesses, culture, communication, technology. This is the very brief definition of globalization, very simple definition. And the underlying principle of globalization, as you all know, is that the world is a global village. Okay, this is your introduction. Now the answer to this is that yes, globalization is resulting in aggressive consumer culture. What is aggressive consumer culture? It refers to society where people are encouraged to buy more than what they need. For example, you need a mug. You need only one mug. You go to the supermarket, you buy this. Okay? But you see another mug which is very cute. It has a probably a Doraemon painted on it and you liked it. You buy another mug. Now you have two mugs. Then you go to some other place and you think that this is a good coffee mug. I should have my coffee in it. So this becomes your coffee mug. Then you again go to some other place and you feel that, oh my god, this is discounted. So you buy another cup. You think you are being given a good discount. So you want to buy another mug. So you buy a fourth mug. Then you are scrolling your Instagram feed and you suddenly see that almost everybody is holding this Stanley Cup. So you go and you think of buying a Stanley Cup, but Stanley Cup is very, very, very expensive. So you save money, or you probably see an option on Amazon that you can get it on EMIs. So you go and you buy a Stanley Cup. So you've got 5 cups. You needed only 1 cup, but now you have 5 cups or mugs. This is what, in simple terms, is called aggressive consumer culture, where you are buying things which you do not probably need. You're just buying them. Okay. How is globalization resulting in aggressive consumer culture? Globalization means what? Firstly, mass marketing. Okay. Globalization helps in creating a brand value. So people think that buying a particular brand will make them feel included into the society or into the particular circle they belong to. The marketing strategies are such that you will be compelled or you will be tempted to buy these goods. For example, as I told you before, that you find a Stanley Cup and you see it, an offer on Amazon that it is available on EMI, probably $7.99, $6.99, $5.99 per month, and you think that $5.99 per month is pretty affordable, so you go and you buy it. So the branding is done in such a way that consumers feel tempted to buy it. Okay, so this is what how it is resulting in aggressive consumer culture. It is creating a brand value. You see on social media everybody is wearing Zara, so you think that you also need to go and buy Zara. Zara is expensive, still you go and buy Zara. You buy H&M, you buy Zara, you go and eat in Domino's and Pizza Huts and other places, in any other foreign company that comes into India, and you want to try it out of excitement. So this is how aggressive consumer culture is created. Now, coming back to another point, that do you think that only is, whenever there is a only in a question, only makes the question very exclusive and limiting. Over here, it has made globalization limiting and exclusive to only aggressive. It means that it is only promoting aggressive consumer culture. It has no other points. It has no other benefits. But is that so? Initially, you wrote that yes, it is resulting in aggressive consumer culture. But in the other part of the answer, you have to write that though it is promoting aggressive consumer culture, it also has positive aspects like integration of markets, Cultural exchanges. How do you think Kolhapuri chappals reached the Parada? Technological know-how. The robo cleaner. The robo cleaner is marking its presence in every Indian household these days. But where did it come from? It came from other countries. It did not come from India. So this is our technological know-how. So these are the positive aspects of globalization. Now coming to the last part of the part of globalization, that is aggressive consumer culture a consequence of only globalization? No. There are psychological, human psychology. Okay. You think that everybody is buying, I have to buy it too. Second is societal pressure. You want to belong to a peer group. You're living in that kind of society where everybody has 10 marks in their houses, in their homes. You also want to have 10 marks because everybody else is having it. Okay, this is a. Then it human psychology is also related to low self-worth. You think some people believe that owning expensive products or more products, more material things will give them the position that they want in their lives. So they feel more included, they feel more valued. So that is why they indulge in such consumerism, societal pressure. Then there is also economic need. There is people are the disposable income has risen considerably. People have more money in their hands, and even after saving it, they're left with a lot of money. What do? They go and they buy. This is how shopping works as therapy for people. So they go and they buy and they feel happy. It releases their dopamine hormones and they feel happy. So globalization is not the only factor resulting in aggressive consumer culture. There are also other factors. You have to be very careful when you write this answer because there is a lot of content, but there is a word limit. This paper, UPSC, is, if you ask me, it is not very difficult because all that people think it is पढ़ना ही तो है 12 घंटे 13 घंटे 14 घंटे. You know what books to read, you know how to read, you know everything, but it is still the toughest exam of the country because of the word limit. You need to know how to structure your answer so that you are fitting your answer in this word limit, and this is what makes it very, very challenging. This paper would have looked easy for anybody who was sitting outside the examination hall. Inside the examination hall, the world shuts, your emotions shut. All that you can see is how do I write and what do I write. So please be careful. Do not over exceed. Structure your answer really well. And for that, you need answer writing practice. You need to learn how to prioritize your points. This will fetch you marks. And related to globalization, I also have, I stumbled upon a very interesting study by uh, Professor Jiang Shuqi, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. He has called consumerism as perfection of slavery. And he has also talked about how consumer culture, or this aggressive consumer culture has come into being. So he talks about that after the Second World War, industrialization was seen as a way to come out of the devastating or the destructive effects of the war, and workers were given a lot of importance. So 1950s, 60s, 70s, workers were very important. They were considered to be an asset because money itself did not add any value, but workers, they added value to money. So every government in a way adopted principles of communism, Karl Marx communism, and they were, to a certain extent, they were socialistic in their outlook. So they were creating jobs for workers, they were thinking about them. They were thinking of how will they secure a good livelihood. They were thinking about giving them comfort. So the center of development was a worker because he was considered important. Now the elites, they did not like it. They did not want the society to become egalitarian. They wanted the difference to stay. So they started revolutionizing, which is called Reaganism in US and Thatcherism in UK. Now what they did was that in 1980s they introduced consumerism because consumerism creates competition. So when you become a consumer, you become a competitor. So the emphasis that was put on workers was shifted to the consumers and consumerism. So for example, you've got money on you. So you go and you buy a house and you go and you post it on social media. Okay, somebody else sees it, and of course they are consumers themselves, they feel competition, they go and they buy a bigger house, they also post it on social media, then third person sees, they buy a bigger house. So this cycle continues till people have exhausted all their money, and this is what the elites wanted. This is what the elites wanted. This is where the difference would come, because they will still be able to buy houses and other people want. And this is also what results in aggressive consumer behavior. Another example to make you understand better: if A has a Samsung, but B and C have iPhones, A will feel alienated, isolated, misfit, unhappy. What will A do? A will ask for an iPhone. Then A also has an iPhone, and now everybody has an iPhone, so they are all one group and they are all happy. And this is how aggressive consumer culture is propagated. Moving on to the next question. Okay. Now we have moved past the 10 markers and now we are discussing the 15 marks question. Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's writings and efforts of social reforms touched issues of almost all subaltern classes. Discuss. This is technically a question on history, but since it talks about the subaltern classes, it becomes an inevitable part of society, and this is why we are discussing it. As far as the structure of your answer is concerned, again, uh, who was Jyotiba Phule? Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. Okay. What were the social conditions that time? See, you cannot start talking about his efforts and writings and issues and upliftment of the subaltern classes without really discussing the social conditions of that time. So the social conditions during that time. Okay, then his efforts, his writings and his efforts, and lastly the impact he had on impact on society. Okay, these are the four main headings of your answer. Let's first begin. We all know, we have read in history, especially in Spectrum. If you have read the Spectrum, there is a particular page dedicated to Mahatma Jyotirao Phule. There is a box which is dedicated to his work, his life, and I don't think it is a very difficult question that way. If you remember what he's remember his books, if you remember his efforts, if you remember his work, you will be able to write this answer. So, who was Mahatma Jyotirao Phule? He was a great social reformer who worked relentlessly for upliftment of the subaltern classes. Okay, this is the prime, this is the introduction. Now, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule uh, in 19th century, he, okay, 19th century, there were two, the society was divided into two major groups, the orthodox group and the rationalist group. Now, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule belonged to the rationalist group, and the subaltern classes that time. Now, what is a subaltern class? If you ask, subaltern class is, it refers to the most oppressed and marginalized group within the society. So, subaltern would mean women, Dalits, backward class people, and peasants. And if I'm talking about 19th century, I'm also talking about farmers. Okay, these are the people. This is the group of the subaltern class. This is subaltern class. What is the problem? What were the problems or the social evils during 19th century? Social injustice, there was oppression of women, and there was exploitation of farmers. These are the main social evils that existed. Under social justice, casteism was a major proponent of social justice. It was the major root cause of social justice, injustice that time. It led to untouchability and discrimination. And if you know that Mahatma Jyotirao Phule was insulted by his Brahmin friends' parents, and this propelled him to take up the case of the people from the Dalit community and people from the backward class, because so these were the this oppression of women is child marriage, then widows had a very vulnerable life, they were almost equal to dead, exploitation of farmers, landlords, high rent. So these were all the problems that were prevalent in the 19th century, and Mahatma Jyotirao Phule took these problems and tried to uplift people out of this situation. Now, what were his efforts? First, you must also know that you should also write that Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's ideology was rooted in equality, justice, and nationalism. This was the ideology that he followed all the time, and he also believed that illiteracy is one of the most important reason behind degradation of human beings. So that is why he worked relentlessly for for education. In terms of education, he opened the first female school, first girls' school in Pune in 1848, where his wife Savitri Bai Phule was appointed as the first female teacher. Then in 1851, he opened a school, first school for Dalits. In 1858, he opened a adult night school. So he worked relentlessly for education. The second that he worked for was the rejection of Brahmanical supremacy. He rejected the Brahmanical scriptures, and because he believed that these scriptures are perpetuating social hierarchies and therefore the discrimination. So he rejected them. He rejected caste system totally, and he wrote Gulamgiri or slavery, in which he condemned the caste system. He also formed the Satyashodak Samaj in 1873. Satyashodak Samaj, or Seekers of Truth, in which was open to people from every strata of society. It was open to every gender. So it was a clear sign of rejection of the Brahmanical supremacy. And 1873. Then he also worked uh, for the farmers and peasants. He wrote Shet Shetkaracha Asur in 1881, if I'm not wrong. And in this, he criticized the farming practices, the exploitation of farmers that was happening at that time. He also submitted petitions for to assert the rights of the low class people, and he promoted, or he talked about, advocated the need for land reforms and sustainable agricultural practices. And lastly, he worked for the marginalized people. For the marginalized, he encouraged them to take up agriculture, he encouraged them to take up crafts, he believed in cooperatives and in collective way of fighting against the system. So these are all the efforts that he had put, and some of the most important uh, writings that we have. And lastly, now, what is his impact on society? See, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule is considered to be India's first human rights activist. His ideology, rooted in equality, justice, and nationalism, it helped in empowering the women and the Dalit people to come forward, take up education. He made education easy for them. He made people seen. The people living at the lowest, the bottom of the society, he made them seen. So he's very much relevant because he brought social changes into the society. The first British school was also for girls was opened in 1849 after Mahatma Jyotirao Phule. So you can imagine the impact that he had on society at that time. And even today, if you see, caste system has still not outlived its functions. You see, we see various pieces of news coming from across the country, how midday meals discriminate children, how some women are paraded uh, for because they belong to the backward class or the lower class, how they are tagged, and the kind of atrocities they are facing, the honor killings have still not stopped. So these are all the ill effects of caste system which are still prevalent today, and this is why Mahatma Jyoti Rao writings and his efforts are still relevant in today's time and scenario. So this is what you could have written in your conclusion. And with this, we are moving to the next question. How do you account for the growing fast food industries given that there are increased health concerns in modern society? Illustrate your answer with the Indian experience. Now, before we begin, okay, one second. Okay. Let's start with the structure of structure of the answer. I hope you can see it now. Is it visible? Okay. Now let's begin with the structure of the answer. What are fast food industries? Obviously, the first part of the question is what are fast food industries? Now, don't be confused with this, please. This is just an add-on. We are talking only about this and this. I mean, of course, this is also relevant and it has importance, but again, stick to your syllabus. This is why we say that please read your syllabus very, very carefully. Health is a part of your GS2 syllabus and not GS1 syllabus. You have to strictly adhere to GS1 syllabus. So you have to talk about society. You have to talk about fast food industry's impact on society. You do not have to talk at length about the health effects that it is having. Again, structure of the answer, what is fast food industries? So fast food industries, introduction में, okay, reasons for its growth, why is it thriving? Then lastly, the health impacts it is having. How it can be discouraged, and this will also form part of your conclusion. So this is the structure that you have to follow. Beginning with fast food industry. Now, what is fast food industries? Fast food is mass produced. It is, please remember, it is mass produced food product, designed for quick and efficient preparation. This is what is your fast food. So given the definition, you have definitely understood what is fast food. Fast food is anything that is easily available. It is easily available, quickly available. So it is time saving. Then it is less nutritious, and it is aggressively marketed. Now, given the essence of this question, the first response from a candidate's point of view is to write about globalization and how it has affected fast food. But the question clearly says that illustrate your answers with Indian examples, which means that you have to limit your globalization effect. And plus, we have in question number 10, we have already discussed globalization. So make sure that you are not repeating your answers, because this can make your answer copy very, very monotonous, and lack of innovation and novelty is definitely a negative point. And please bear this in mind. Make your answers as innovative as you can. You don't necessarily have to write a perfect answer. There is no perfect answer, but what you think is right is what is right. Write about it, give examples, and give good examples. Everything comes into the newspaper. Read your exam newspapers thoroughly so you know what you're supposed to write. If you talk about the fast food sectors, if you've read the news of late, a lot of discussion was done on the government deciding to tax Indian snacks, especially samosas and jalebis and vada paos, because it said that one samosa is equivalent to 9 rotis. So see the calorie count here. So with increase in the burden of lifestyle diseases, this is what the government is planning to do. This is what Mexico did in 1992, 1992, after it signed NAFTA, and there was an influx of American food products into Mexico. And this was also the concern raised during the India UK FTA, where the experts had talked about how the food products like cakes and chocolates will become cheaper in India, and which may lead to increase in obesity levels. And India need to have a strict health regulation to manage this. So everything was coming in the newspapers. So I don't think that anybody was, again I'm repeating, that anybody who was reading the newspaper would not have found it difficult. Coming back to the question again, it is easily available, it is quickly available, so it is time saving, it is less nutritious, it is marketed, it is also inexpensive. Now this is the main reason, that it doesn't cost much. A rupees 20 burger can fill your stomach for another 2-3 hours. So this is the first go-to option. Now we look into the reasons. Why has the fast food industry, why is it thriving? Why is it still thriving? Everybody knows. This question also directly tells you that everybody knows that despite the emerging health concerns, the fast food industry is still thriving, and you want to find the reason why. Why is it happening? The first thing is social change. Okay. India has undergone a major social change in the last 2 decades, I would say, beginning 2000 especially. You might have seen that more number of women are working now, and even if I'm not talking about women engaged in corporate sector or in well-paying jobs, but even I'm sorry, the women belonging to the lower strata of society are also going out of their homes. They're also working. They're working as cooks, they're working as babysitters, they're working as caregivers. They are engaged in one or the other kind of food. Some women also have their own carts. If you see, They are selling bhajiyas, they're selling boiled eggs, they're selling even smallest things they're selling, they are earning money. Now, when women go out of their houses to earn money, they are also working, and you know that when you start working, it cooking can become very, very exhaustive. So, with no time left, there is no time to cook, and this is one reason why most people are preferring fast food, or they consume fast food because it is easily available, it is time saving. Okay. And when I talk about fast food, I am not necessarily talking about pizzas, burgers, samosa, and vada pav only. Anything that comes from the packet is fast food, including your ready to eat meals, including your preheated meals, and that is. So, this is a social change that we are seeing. So, there is no time for women to cook, and in some cases women have seen their mothers struggle in the kitchen for the longest time. They feel that kitchen, so they see kitchen not as a place to cook but as a cage that has restricted women from pursuing their hobbies and their dreams. So they do not want to enter the kitchen, they don't want to cook. And when you don't cook, पेट तो भरना ही है. Then you opt for fast food, you opt for ready to eat meals, you boil water, you put it into it, and then your dinner is sorted. It is paneer makhani, you just add paneer cubes and your paneer makhani is ready in 2 minutes. So anything that comes in 2 minutes, this is what fast food is, and this is a social change, is also responsible for the growth of fast food industries. The second is the hectic life. Now we know that in India specifically, uh, Indian companies, Indian institutions, Indian organizations, they do not follow a strict time limit. They do not strictly follow a 10 to 5 job. Some people are overworking, and when people overwork, again, they do not have time to cook, or they do not have time to have their meals also. And this is one of the main reasons why people go for fast food. It is, again, work life balance is also there. So work life balance, whatever time is left, they want to spend it in other recreational activities. They're going to the gym, they're going for a walk, they're going for a random, they're pursuing their hobbies, and they believe that cooking is going to take a lot of time, and they don't want themselves to be robbed of that time, so they also go for fast food. Then thirdly is expansion of urban areas. Now, I might have seen, I don't remember the date, but I think last week or last to last week we had seen the uh, the long jam in Gurgaon, and imagine that in every metro cities, or even every city is now expanding. There is traffic problem in every city. So when you are spending at least 2 hours on road, your workplace and your is fairly far from your home. So you're spending too much time traveling, and by the time you reach home, you're already exhausted. You look for an easy meal, and easy meal means fast food. And studies have also shown that after World War II, suburbs emerged, the interstate highways were built, and because of this interstate highway, fast food sector uh, showed a rapid growth. So these are also the reasons why fast food industry is growing. Fourthly, it is affordability. See, the middle class is expanding, it is continuously expanding. There is social mobility, people are there is a good amount of the disposable income at hand is quite good, it is quite high, so people can go and afford to eat outside. And especially the people who have money can have a good fine dine experience. But what about people who don't have, who can't have a fine dine experiences? So this aspirational class which wants to become which wants to be included also is for them, for the aspirational class also, the fast food is very much affordable, and that is also one reason why this sector is thriving. And fifth, if I talk about, it is a term called glocalization. This is a very interesting term, glocalization. It means that the foreign brands like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, they have adapted their menus to Indian tastes. So the food becomes more palatable, it becomes more desirable. If you know, McDonald's in India does not serve pork and beef because it respects Indian people's religious values. But outside India, it is serving pork and beef in major countries, most of the countries. So Domino's, for example, is offering a paneer makhni pizza or a chicken tandoori pizza. There is also a chicken tikka rice bowl, or paneer tikka rice bowl, or chicken tandoori rice bowl. So you see how they are, how these foreign brands are manipulating the customers. They are exciting them, so they come and they get tempted and they come to their joints and they eat and they indulge in it. And this is also one reason why the fast food sector has seen so much of growth. And lastly, of course, we have these food delivery apps which have made food. I mean, it's raining outside, you want to have bhajiyas, you don't need to cook, you can order it. If you want a pizza, you don't have to go and you don't have to walk. So they have made food very, very convenient. And this is also one reason why the fast food sector is growing, because as I said before, anything that comes from the packet is fast food. Now coming back to the health hazards. We are not going to write in detail, but we since it has been asked, we have to touch upon the topic. Now, the health concerns in modern society. The health concerns in modern society is that these fast food is usually fried. It is mostly carbohydrates and fats, and therefore it is not good for your health. It results in cardiovascular diseases. It it increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, especially in children. And because it results in obesity, it also can cause pancreatic problems. uh, Obesity, you can also use data here that obesity in India, at least the National Family Health Survey 5 has said that obesity rate in India ranges from 23 to 24%, which is too high. And another report says that 25% Indians today are obese, which is a lot. Even given given India's population, 25% amounts to a large number. So you see that these are the health concerns in modern society. But again, you have to analyze the question very well. You have to decode the question, and the question is asking you that how do you account for the growing fast food industries, given that there are increased health concerns in modern society. So you have to also know that these health concerns are not primarily because people are consuming fast food. It is also because of their sedentary lifestyle, where they don't exercise, where they are sitting for long hours, where they are not controlling their portions. So these are all other factors that are resulting in health problems in modern society. And in conclusion, you can definitely write how the growth of the fast food sector is impacting Indian society. For example, in conclusion, you can write that food is an inevitable part of our culture, and it also instills family values. It fosters solidarity. It is also a way of socializing, because when you cook food for somebody, you're also showing care, you're also showing your affection. And when you're not cooking food, there is the primary force that binds the family together is no more, because you're changing food brands every single day. There is no specific food item on your plate. It You are not hosting dinners anymore, and people are not coming to your place. Nobody's socializing that well. It has also resulted in alienation of people, in isolation, increase in anxiety among people. This is also one of the main reasons. So you see, food plays a very important role in our social system, especially Indian food systems and habits. So when too much indulgence in fast food ruins this traditional value of food, and therefore the government must do something about it. The government must uh, the government is thinking of taxing the foods high in fat, salt, and sugar. uh, the GST, the reformulated GST, has also taxed cold drinks at 40%, which means that cold drinks are sin goods. Now, the taxation is the most effective way of discouraging people from consuming fast food, and this is this is how you are supposed to write your answer. I hope I'm making it clear to you. Coming to the last question of this question has been discussed in our geography session that was held few days ago. You can check the video. Kajal ma'am has discussed question number 19 there. Last question. Does tribal development in India center around two axes, those of displacement and of rehabilitation? Give your opinion. You have to give your opinion here. Now, this is a very this question is, I feel that it has found a place in the paper because uh, few months ago the newspapers were talking about the discussions were held about the impact of Great Nicobar project, which is a very big project coming up in Andaman and Nicobar, the Nicobar Islands, and how it is going to affect the lives of the Shompen tribe specifically, and how it is going to result in their displacement and maybe erosion of their tribal values and their tribal habitat. So this is what is the underlying news for this question. And again, if I talk about the structure, then you have to write about the tribe, the tribal population, tribal development, tribes, population, their history, brief history, their problems, displacement, rehabilitation, and the way forward or the conclusion of what the government should do. This is your basic answer structure. Okay, let's move on to the content. Now, the tribes form about 8.6% of total Indian population, or 10.4 crore people in India are tribal people. There are 700 groups, most of them found in Madhya Pradesh, if I'm not wrong. Please check. Madhya Pradesh, and 700 groups, 10.4 crore tribal people, 8.6% of the total population, which means that tribal people form a significant part of India's population. But if we go down the history, if we see their history, some historians believe that tribal people were the original inhabitants of India, and other people are outsiders, they're Aryans, and they are the ones who were called Dasyus at that time. Uh, when if we talk about how they lived, the tribals have always lived have had an autonomous uh, life. They live They were never part of the mainstream society. They have their own rules. They live there. They mostly inhabited the remote villages and forest area of the of India. And the Britishers at that time adopted a very isolationist approach towards tribals, because they needed logs for railway development, they needed forest resources for further development. So they adopted a very isolationist approach. But when India gained independence, and if you read about post independence consolidation, you there is a separate chapter on how tribal people were incorporated or assimilated into the mainstream society, and what Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, uh, what principle did he adapt at that time. So after independence, it was decided that the tribal people will be assimilated into the mainstream society, but without interfering in their tribal laws, in their tribal rules. So they have their own life, and they still become a part of they're still a part of the Indian society. This is what was decided, and this is what is continuing till today. Now, what is happening? The major problem that tribes are facing today is, the first problem is displacement. The development projects, in the name of development projects, in the name of deforestation, in the name of other mining areas and coal fields, the tribal people are the one who suffers the most. So the first problem is the tribal is displacement. The second problem is identity issue. See, when you displace people and then you rehabilitate them, they lose a part of their identity. They no longer belong to that area. You know that a region is representative of that person, and when you rehabilitate them or you resettle them, they lose that identity. So they're also facing identity issues. They are facing health issues, because the medical team, especially if we talk about the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, they have still not been integrated into the mainstream society. They have their own ways, they have their own rules. If you take Jarawas, for example, or the Orangs from Andaman and Nicobar, they do not allow outsiders into their area. So, which means that they are medically negligent. There is medical negligence in that area. And if you talk about the Naxalite area or the central India, a humongous vasectomy drive was held, especially during emergency, which affected the tribal people the most. And we have also seen instances of forced vasectomy, and the Naxalites exploiting these tribal people. So these are all the problems that these tribal people face today. And let's move to other part of the. Now, does tribal development in India center around two axes, those of displacement and of rehabilitation? Yes. In the tribal development in India centers around the two axes of displacement and rehabilitation, and you have to discuss how. Then first you discuss displacement, how displacement is affecting them. We can talk about again the Great Nicobar project, in the name of development project, in the name of establishing national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Tribals are the ones who face the most problem. They are the one who are ousted from those areas. So Great Nicobar is a project is affecting the Champagne tribe, the Achanak. Please pardon my pronunciation. Achanakamar National Park ousted the Baiga community, Baiga tribe, MP, Madhya Pradesh, and similarly, in the name of coal bill of establishing coal fields, Kanakmar Reserve. Yes, it is a reserve. Okay. Kanakmar Reserve affected the Baiga tribes. Then, if there is any natural disaster, for example, floods in Assam, then again the tribes were affected. And any form of rise in sea level or the, for example, the construction of the Dehradun Delhi highway has affected the life of Gurjars who are forest dwellers and practice transhumans. So displacement is has been uh, one issue that is affecting tribes the most, and it is a very pertinent issue. It has not gone away. Even if a lot of other measures have been taken and a lot of other efforts are made, the displacement has not gone. And what is happening after displacement? After displacement, the if we talk about if we talk about rehabilitation, then I'm sorry, it's too difficult to remember. Then you have right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act 2013, okay, which works for it. But rehabilitation is a very big problem because when tribal people have this habit of living in groups, they are, if you know about tribal rules, they have one the patriarch is the one who's the guiding force of the entire group, and they have their own laws and they have their own rules. Now when you resettle them, what is happening is that their resettlement is happening in scattered areas. For example, if this is their area, once they're resettled in scattered areas. So they're settled here, they're settled here, they're settled here, they're settled here, they're settled. So displacement also provides a kind of discomfort or disconnection, and rehabilitation does not provide the cushion of community which is essential for a tribal society. This is the main problem with displacement and rehabilitation. The second problem with rehabilitation is that in in many cases the compensation amount or is given to these tribal people, and that amount is adequate for a rural area, but the price of land in urban areas is too high. So again they feel discriminated, and they feel that they are not properly resettled and properly rehabilitated that time. It So these are the two main problems with rehabilitation. Though right to fair compensation and transparency in land acquisition, resettlement and rehabilitation and resettlement act 2013 provides for a provides for a legal framework for land acquisition and fair compensation and rehabilitation. And these are all the government effort that I'm talking about, that government has made a lot of effort to uh, you know to help tribal people to maintain a balance between the displacement and rehabilitation. So first in line is this act. The second is PESA, which is Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas in 2006, which mandates the Gram Sabha to be consulted, mandates Gram Sabha's consultation for acquisition of land in a scheduled area. And at the end you can write in conclusion that government has been making a lot of efforts, and rehabilitation process revolves around around the combination of a legal framework plus government efforts. So rehabilitation of tribes is a work of both these forces, and they have to work in tandem with each other for a stable tribal society. The government can also take cues from the Forest Right Act 2006, which ensures that forest dwelling people, forest, which recognizes and secures the right of forest dwelling communities in India. You need to remember the instances of displacement. You need to remember the names of the tribe. You need to remember the places, the region that the tribes belong to. You need to write about the problems tribals are facing. And I have written it in brief just for your understanding, but you need to write it. Uh, you have to elaborate a little bit so that you are writing a holistic answer for this question. And since it is saying that give your opinion, then you have to give your opinion. You don't have to be biased. You have to give your opinion, but make sure that your conclusion is balanced and it ends on a positive note. I hope this session was helpful, and looking forward to seeing you again. I hope. And as always, happy learning.